Cam Newton has done it once again. He's spoke his piece, and I agree with what he's saying. And it wasn't necessarily received the right way by a lot of people. It's created a lot of interesting feedback and comments over it. But here's what Cam Newton had to say about would he trade the MVP award for a Super Bowl.
I ask you, Cam, if you could give back that league MVP for a Super Bowl championship, would you do it?
Nope.
Oh.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
What's more important, impact or championships? If we're being honest, the impact of you holding yourself accountable to say everybody has a responsibility to do. And you could say as an MVP award winner or an All-American, you've held yourself or you've held your end of the bargain down. And that's what it really comes down to for me. I know that's not the popular pick. I'm trying to be popularized. But my take is I'm taking individual success because I did my job.
I'll say this. While I would trade in an individual award to be a champion, I don't disagree with him. I do not disagree because you got to bring your best you in order to be the best we. If you're not putting your best foot forward, if I can say I was the best player in the league and I was voted that, then you can't say we didn't win a Super Bowl because, well, I did something I shouldn't have done. I'm the most valuable player in the league.
He could have got down there and dove for the football, but he said he made a business decision.
He didn't die for the football, Plaxico.
Right. Okay, he made a business decision. So when you talk about when you're talking about he wouldn't trade an MVP for a team trophy, he said he's going to take the individual award because he did his part of the bargain. So did his teammates go out every Sunday and not do their part of the bargain to help lift him to win an MVP? Because if they weren't out there on Thursdays, Sundays, Saturday, Monday nights, whenever they was playing, if his teammates weren't at their best, given all that they have, then he wouldn't be an MVP.
Does that one play that he didn't dive for that fumble discredit Cam Newton?
It doesn't discredit anything.
That's
what he told us. That's what he said. He didn't go after the ball because he made a business decision. Those words came out of his mouth.
Was that the reason why they lost that game?
I'm just saying, the ball's right there in front of you.
That's one play. And while I agree with you, I'll agree with you. Like,
it's the Super Bowl,
with you.
It's
the
Super Bowl.
When you're in the Super Bowl, you got to give everything you got.
Everything. You got to give everything.
Ain't no business.
I don't have a problem with Cam the person at all. But when I sit here and listen to he say he wouldn't trade an MVP for a Super Bowl. He's talking about impact. So you don't think that in the fashion that we went about that game and the way that we won it, you don't think that had an impact on anybody?
This is how
it did.
This is how I took it. You can win a Super Bowl but be on the sideline. You can win a Super Bowl but play 10, 12 snaps. That's how I took it. That if he's one of those guys, he'd rather win an MVP. I didn't take it as he's a starter. He means a lot to his team. He'd rather have a Super Bowl than MVP because if I'm one of the main players on the team and we win a Super Bowl, I'm a big reason for that. I'm a big part of that. And that's how I took it. I don't know if the question was asked in a way that now you the nickel corner, you're going to play 12 to 17, 20 snaps a game over the course of a season. Would you want a Super Bowl or MVP?
I want a Super Bowl.
He would probably say an MVP because I play a part in this. Like when you're the nickel corner.
But there's no way he's going to get MVP.
But
that's why
crazy thing.
That's the only way I can think why he answered it that way.
The crazy thing about that question is this: if you ask Cam Newton that same question without an MVP, what do you think his answer would be?
I want the Super Bowl.
Oh, a Super Bowl for sure.
Would you rather want a league MVP?
But
or
they
would you
did
rather want a
ask him,
Super Bowl?
would you give it? They did ask him, would you give it back? Would you give it back to win the Super Bowl? See,
because
to me,
he did play in a Super Bowl. They just lost.
And that man was an MVP of the league and played his ass off that year.
Oh yeah, I get it.
He's the reason why they was there.
You're the best.
He's the reason why they were. And because to me, it's like, first of all, it shouldn't be an either or, right? But to pose a hypothetical question such as that, I still have to say, I tend to look at how Cam gave his reasoning, and outside of you saying him not diving for the ball, if he puts his best foot forward, and I think we would all agree, being labeled and voted the MVP of the league says that you put your best foot forward, which that's the regular season, not the playoffs. That's regular season award.
Right.
But still, that man did what he needed to do as a player for his team to go as far as they did.
On that team.
But if everybody else on that team did what they were supposed to do, maybe they win the Super Bowl.
When everybody is playing well, that makes you the good players become great players.
That was a hell of a Denver Broncos team too, though.
Hey, between the three of us, it's probably 30-some years of NFL experience, and you guys got to understand, like, when you're a good player, you're real prideful about what you do individually. Very, very prideful about what you do individually. But football is the ultimate team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. Like, you can, when a quarterback, when he's not playing well, what they say, they got to get him weapons. Offensive line ain't right. They got to get him some receivers. As soon as you get him the receivers and he start balling, you forget about that statement that you made the previous year that, the offensive line and the receivers weren't right. Man, it's ultimate team game, man. We need the guy to the left and to the right of us to do his job so I can do mine. Now, some guys do it better than others, but we rely on each other so much. It's just the fact that the quarterbacks, the guys that score the touchdowns and throw the touchdowns, a lot of the times get more recognition than other guys when we're all doing the job that needs to be done for others to succeed. That's just how it is.
100%. 100%. I still think, though, even in looking at it, look, even in looking at it, like, okay, if Peyton Manning says the same thing Cam Newton says, is he looked at the same way? I think if it depends on who the person that's delivering the message,
you know what
who
I think
it comes
so
from.
too, because Peyton has accomplished both. It's hard for that question, because Cam played in the Super Bowl, didn't win it, and won an MVP. It's like, which one would you have preferred?
Because let's be clear, one is an individual award and one is a team award. It takes a team to win the Super Bowl. It takes a person to win an MVP, which it takes a team to win an MVP too. It takes a team. It takes a team to win an MVP.
I don't care who you are as a quarterback. If them hogs up front ain't protecting you, you ain't no good.
You in trouble.
I
don't
get
care what
that,
you say.
but you still have to individually produce to get an individual.
And the guys like myself and TJ, we have to individually produce also.
That's correct. And he has to produce the ball. But he has to produce the ball.
It's not a one-man show.
Why you get mad at me, Stretch?
I'm not getting mad at you.
You can't get mad at me because I'm telling you Cam Newton is a one-man show that year.
It's not a one-man show at any position on the football field.
Well, that's why it's the ultimate team sport, but yet there are individual awards. I just think in this scenario in particular, I think the way people feel about Cam Newton, if we're being totally honest and we're being totally real, I think people reacted to Cam saying it the way that he did because of the perception that people have of Cam Newton. If you take away the perception, the persona, how confident Cam Newton is, how he comes across unapologetic, and how he does things and how he says things, I do not think that this would be as much of a debate. I don't think that it would be as kind of like, it kind of comes across as abrasive, and it's not. It kind of comes across as like confrontational or adversarial. Like I'm taking the award. I'm taking the MVP because that's what means that means I did what I was supposed to do. It's just to me, the persona that the reputation that Cam Newton has been like labeled really plays a part in why I think that this became such a debate.
How is he even labeled? I don't.
I think people have debated, but I'm just saying, I think in general, the media, certain people have almost labeled him as being like this self-absorbed, stuck-up type of arrogant type of dude. And I think and the reason why I said Peyton Manning, not because of a racial thing, white-black thing, it was more so people look at Peyton Manning as like this humble dude. He's unassuming, he's kind of, he's quiet, but he's witty, this and that. Like people would say that, Peyton Manning is kind of like the antithesis of what Cam Newton is, and Cam is the antithesis of what a Peyton Manning is. And so that's why I said, if Peyton Manning said,
Cam was also Superman.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was, and dabbed on you. And you want to fight him, and he's too big for you to deal with him, so he kept dabbing on you anyway. I just think Cam Newton intimidates a lot of people, and because of that intimidation factor, people see what they want to see when they hear what he has to say. I didn't disagree with what he said. I think that you do have to be the best you, and if you bring the best you to the table in these scenarios, then you have nothing to be ashamed about if you don't win a Super Bowl. So if I'm saying I'm going to not be the MVP so that I can win a Super Bowl, it's almost like you're making somebody make a decision on being a contradiction of trying to be the best you that you can be. Why would I not want to be the best me that I can be?
I'm not disagreeing with you with anything that you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing, and I'm not agreeing with what he said because of how people see him, they judge him, or how he's labeled in the media, so to speak. I just know how tough this game is to play, as a whole, as a group, and as a team. Especially, TJ would understand this more than anybody. Our success depends on everybody else.
Everybody.
Not just me. That's why you always take it. That's why I always take it personal. When you went out, everybody else did their job, and you drop a football. I come back to the huddle, man, and I would apologize, but, hey, man, my bad. I got to be better. I just know how difficult it is for everybody to be on the same page, every particular play, for that play to have success. And it does come from individual efforts. And that's how we receive our individual awards. But you can't sit here and say, from a quarterback position, if I'm not at my best on Sunday and TJ's not at his best on Sunday, it doesn't matter how great Cam Newton is on that day.
I think that I agree with you. I think that's a given. I think that's the given of it all, is that in order to get that award, everybody's got to be playing their best. If Katz is dropping balls all the time and he's not getting any stats and y'all not winning games, he's not up for the award. So I totally agree with what you're saying. It makes a ton of sense. I'm just saying he's got to deliver that ball. You got all things given. You got to run a dope route, or it might be a 50-50 ball, and you got to go get it. And you know what? They won't remember that it was a 50-50 ball. They'll see the stat line and say, okay, that was a part of the reason why Cam got the MVP award. Look at the yards during this game. It might have been yards after the catch, whatever it may be. So I agree with what you guys are saying, but yet and still, it's a given that everybody out there has to do their part, but he's got to do his part. And he's got to do it at a high level, especially to be considered as, well,